Hello everybody, my name is Mr. Hat, and today we're going over Leprechaun Origins, which came out in 2014 and is directed by John Lepovsky, if I'm saying that correctly, who directed the upcoming Kim Possible movie, a Disney movie, and that's it. I don't know anything else this guy's done. This movie is a reboot of Leprechaun. It's produced by WWE, who did See No Evil. Wasn't a fan of that, and I wasn't a fan of this, so that's strike two, WWE. This is the first movie without Warwick Davis to be the Leprechaun, and let's go over everything, if there is anything to talk about, in this week's Horror Franchise Wednesday.
Leprechaun Origins.
Alright, now this is normally where I would tell you the plot and rhyme, but I'm not going to for this one, because why would I have to be creative when this movie wasn't being creative at all? Alright, this movie doesn't even have a rhyming leprechaun. There's no rhyming anything. There's no leprechaun. This movie shouldn't be called Leprechaun at all. This is the Halloween 3 of the franchise, and yeah, let's get into it. What's the plot? The plot is these people, if you can call them people, they're shitheads to me. They go to Ireland, and then they get trapped. They get sacrificed to this leprechaun so that this shitty village can keep the gold. That's it. Before we go over everything I don't like about this movie, let's go over the few things I do like. First up, there's a couple moments of decent gore in this movie. I like that the spineless boyfriend gets his spine ripped out. How ironic, because he's a chicken shit the whole fucking movie. He's a spineless piece of shit, and then he gets his spine ripped out. I like that, and I like that this movie, since it's called, Leprechaun Origins, that it takes place in Ireland. I thought that makes sense. Alright? If you're gonna tell an origin story about a leprechaun, it should take place in Ireland. And none of the other movies did, for some reason. I always thought that was odd. This one does. Makes sense. I thought that was a nice touch. That's it. There's a couple Freddy vs. Jason alumni in this movie. You got Brandon Fletcher, and then you got Gary Chalk, I believe, the sheriff in Freddy vs. Jason. And then there's a moment where they actually fight back towards the sheriff, or he's not a sheriff in this movie. They fight back at one moment, and I was like, oh, they actually fight back. They're not cowards. But that's it. That's all I can think about. That's positive. I saw this movie 4 days ago, and I'm just now recording my review on it. I just did not have anything to talk about. There's nothing to talk about. This movie has no interesting things to talk about. In the other reviews, I could break down shit, this was stupid, this was oh my gosh, or that was funny. In this movie, it was just so bland and boring. Everything was just so generic. This whole movie is generic. The characters, the story, the village has to trap people in this fucking cabin and so that they can keep the gold. It's just take the gold and move to a different village. Before we go into my negatives, let's go over a couple of my awards. The hottest chick award is gonna go to Jenny. We don't get to see her top list, but oh well. And the Clapper award for best scene in this god-awful movie is gonna go to when the spineless boyfriend gets his spine ripped out. He deserved it for being a pussy. I think the biggest negative is that this movie calls itself Leprechaun and then Origins. Both of them are wrong. First up, this isn't even an origin story. What did we learn? What did we learn? Seriously, have you seen this movie? Did you learn anything about this leprechaun? Nothing. There's nothing explained. There's one fucking scene where they actually fully say it out loud that this thing's a leprechaun, and then that's it. So to me, it felt like this movie was written as just your generic horror movie, and then somebody was like, this isn't gonna sell, so let's attach it to a franchise. Which one should we do? Well, Hellraiser's not gonna work. How about Leprechaun? Sure. And they went for it. So this is just like a cash grab. It just steals the name and then tries to make money off of it, even though behind the scenes they fully admit while making the movie that this is a Leprechaun reboot. But to me, it just felt like a script that wasn't a Leprechaun movie and then got converted into one during production. Alright, well, this movie sucks already. You haven't even finished the product yet. And then they're like, let's just make it a Leprechaun movie. The Leprechaun in this movie is not a leprechaun. He is just a fucking monster. Just a monster. Alright? In the other movies, they always played around with the height. The height was always a joke. It was they always underestimate him because he's small. You don't even know how tall or short this thing is, because whenever he's in frame, you only see like an extreme close up and it's always blurred on the sides of the screen. All these like blur frames for some reason, and shaky cam. The way this movie was directed, it was like Rob Zombie just was in there one day. It's like literally, there's a moment where the leprechaun is on the hood of the car on the roof, and for some reason, this car sequence has to be shaky for some dumbass reason, and I couldn't tell you what the fuck was going on. So yeah, there's really no leprechaun, and there is no origin story, so the name is just fucking wrong. It takes place in Ireland, but I don't believe for 1 second this movie is actually in Ireland. I see these Irish people, but they're all Canadian actors putting on these fake Irish accents that kind of just like slip away, and they don't sound that Irish here, but they sound Irish here. It's stupid. Just hire Irish actors if you're gonna do this. I also just don't like the look of this movie. Just the color palette, the way it's lit, the way it looks. It's like, it's not terrible cinematography, but just the way the movie looks and feels. I hate it. It's just, there's something about it. I don't like it. The tone of this movie is completely serious, and that's a major sin there too. Because what else is, like, the main driving point of the Leprechaun franchise, the thing that people love the most? They like the Leprechaun and the humor. And this movie takes those two things completely out. There is no Leprechaun and there is no humor. There's nothing funny at all. This movie takes itself so fucking serious and it's stupid. Like, seriously, we got the cliche, like, the son doesn't believe in what the father's doing, but the father's like, we have to do this, son, so that we can keep living in this stupid, shitty village with all the gold. And I don't even think they have the gold. We're told they have the gold, but where is it? What are they spending it on? Their gold watch? That's it? Like, fuck off, seriously. And then, like, there's like a bag of gold in the fucking forest at some point. At the very beginning, we see these two people running away. She drops a bag, and then later on, we find out there's gold in it. Is that all the gold or just some of the gold? I don't know. Where is this gold? Like, we gotta keep sacrificing people. Why? How many? How many a day? A week? A month? How many people? What's the rules? There is no rules established. The characters are completely fucking bland. I don't even know why they're in Ireland in the first place, but when they arrive, the boyfriend's like, this wasn't supposed to be an overnight thing. What wasn't? The trip to Ireland? It's like you just went on a plane ride from America to Ireland for a 1 day fucking trip, but not overnight, just land, see something, and then fucking go back to America in the same day? Was that the plan? Because that's what it sounded like to me. They flat out say, this wasn't supposed to be an overnight thing. Really? Apparently the main girl, Sophie, she's like, what, a history buff? Or she just wants to see this old dumb shit, and then, like, they get tricked into going up to this cabin, and then we get no nudity in this movie. Like, nothing saves this film. Nothing. Alright? There's no nudity either, but we get, like, I'd be fine with that, but we get teased with nudity twice. Twice in this movie, and both of those scenes are, like, back to back. Sophie, the main final girl, she's taken off all her clothes. She's basically in a bikini or just, her bra. And her boyfriend, what's he doing? He's being all moody, reading a book, and she's basically, like, she doesn't say it, but it's implied that she would like to make love. And he's like, no, I'd rather read this book because I'm pissed off that we're even here at this cabin in the woods. That's just fucking odd. Like, usually in movies, that role is reversed. Like, the guy will be punished with no sex, but this guy is punishing the woman with no sex. And then after that scene, we got the drunk Brendan Fleischer, whatever the fuck his name is, from Freddy vs. Jason. He's so drunk that he passes out while about to have sex with this girl, and she's about to take her top off, but then he passes out. That's like the only moment of comedy in this movie. And I can't like this final girl because she's the one that enjoins these people into this terrible situation. Like, no, we have to go. But a couple of them were on board. It just reminded me of Aaron from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the remake, where, they all could have survived if they had just done what they wanted to do. But no, one girl's like, well, I want this. And then they all pay the price, but she doesn't. That's exactly what happens in this movie. She wants to go up to this fucking area because she thinks there's some sort of archaeological, famous site to go see and take pictures of, I guess, for some college project. I don't know. I don't know why they were there in Ireland. But they all pay the price, she doesn't. But you can't like any of these friends because as soon as shit hits the fan, which is like really early on, there is no character development. It just like quickly just gets you into like the madness, and it's like, oh, they're being attacked. Which was exactly what the first Leprechaun did. So therefore, this one suffers the same, the same side effect of that movie, which is redundancy. It's just constantly being chased throughout the whole fucking 2/3 of this movie. Like, oh shit, there's the leprechaun, there's the leprechaun, there's the leprechaun. We're just being chased all fucking night, and it gets boring quick. But yeah, you can't like these characters because they're all selfish assholes. Only Sophie, the main girl, tries to save Brandon, and I like how it makes you laugh. Like, it's not supposed to be funny, but it makes you laugh because there's a scene where after she saved Brandon later on, they're all tied to a tree, but Brandon's character escapes, and the pussy boyfriend, Tim, or whatever the hell his name is, he's like, "Don't leave us here." Brandon wasn't intending on doing that. He comes back immediately with a machete that was conveniently laid somewhere, cuts them all loose, and not even 10 seconds later, the leprechaun has Brandon on the ground, and what does the guy who just said, "Don't leave us here," do? He fucking leaves him there. So it's like, really? It's just, it's hilarious. The pussy leaves him there, and like, he's being attacked on the ground, and the pussy grabs his girlfriend and is like, "He's done for, let's go." Everything about this movie is just like generic. Even the fucking score, the look, the sound of the leprechaun is like what, like a dog growl, and it's like overdone. It's like every time the leprechaun's on the screen, you hear like the same like dog growl or something. It's not scary at all. Not to mention the leprechaun, he just like walks like an ape. He's like on his all fours, just like running around. It's stupid. Does he even have a weakness? Like, there's nothing established other than he's basically like a dog, and like there's like a invisible fence somewhere. Like, he can't get past a certain point. That's it. And then you get to the end where the final girl makes it past that point where he can't no longer go, and you're just like, okay, this movie should be over now. But since it's not, I'm assuming there's a twist. Let me guess. There's more than one. Boom! I guessed it. Doesn't take a genius to know that there's something else coming. And then boom, what do we see? We see like 4 or 5 like leprechauns running through this field, going past the point where they can't go past, but I guess they can now. Yeah, this movie does not deserve to call itself a Leprechaun movie. It's terrible. Alright? This movie is way too different to be like, yeah, I don't want reboots to be exactly the same, but don't change everything. That would be like this upcoming Child's Play movie having Andy be like a 40-year-old pervert with a sex doll instead, or a Nightmare on Elm Street remake where Freddy's a pedophile. Oh wait, we did get that.
Fuck you, Lucky Charms!
This could have just been a fucking monster movie. That's all it is. It's a monster movie. It's not a Leprechaun movie. I did not enjoy this movie at all. So therefore, when it comes to Leprechaun Origins, this movie is very much wasted time. The Mr. Hannah Award for Best Kill is going to go to Jenny, who gets her face split wide open by her best friend. Her friend's going to be needing some major therapy after this. And the worst kill is definitely going to the Irish dad, played by the guy in Freddy vs. Jason. He just dies off camera, and we don't ever know what the fuck happened to him. He's the one that you want to see die, but we don't get to see it. There's a couple off-camera kills in this movie. Alright, one more Leprechaun movie, and then I'm done. I can rank these movies, and we can move on to a much better franchise. I'm so glad I'm done. I already got my other review done, but I mean, I went from the Saw franchise, which was okay, to this one that's terrible, and I'm going to do a great franchise next, and you'll find out which one it is in April? Yeah. No. May. May. The first week of May, I think. But anyways, let me know what you guys thought about this movie in the comments below. Do you like it better than some of the original installments of this franchise? Maybe. It's better than Leprechaun in the Hood, but still, it's not a Leprechaun movie in my opinion. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Hit this like button to show me some support and become a subscriber by clicking on my cartoon face in about 5 seconds to see more. And until next time, Auf Wiedersehen.